Hi, welcome to my Flosstube. I know it's been a while, about a month since my last Flosstube. Introduce myself real quick. My name is Allison. I live in Nebraska, and this is a channel about cross-stitching. And I will talk a little bit about another hobby, but that will be towards the end of the video. So if you're here for cross-stitching, you're in the right place. So first I will talk about my FFOs, which FFO stands for Fully Finished Objects, and I have two, and they are both my own designs. So the first one I have is called Dance in the Moonlight. Here it is. And this design is in the newest issue of Just Cross Stitch magazine. Sorry, I got a bit of a glare on the cover there. Let me see if I can, there we go. Just Cross Stitch magazine. This is the June 2023 issue. And so my design is in the magazine, which is kind of cool. And it's called Dance in the Moonlight. And this one was inspired. My daughter had gotten a Ranger Rick magazine, and it had this beautiful picture of a Luna moth on it, and she became fascinated by it. And when she becomes fascinated by something, we kind of jump down that rabbit hole and we research it, we watch YouTube videos about it, and we just learn everything we can about the subject, and this time it was Luna moths. And she told me that she wanted me to design a cross-stitch piece with the Luna moth, and so I did. And I added some fireflies kind of dancing around the big Luna moth. And then I have like the phases of the moon at the top, and the bottom is, if you can see it, let's see if I can get close enough, is actually a flower. And I know there's a scientific name for this flower. I don't know the scientific name. We always just call it a moonflower, but it is a flower that blooms at night when the moon is out, and it has the most beautiful fragrance. And it reminds me of like my childhood in the summertime, because the house we lived at had this moonflower. And so you go outside at nighttime and like the lightning bugs would be out, and you get the fragrance of this flower under the stars and under the moon. And it reminds me of my childhood and playing outside in the summertime. So that's what inspired the flowers at the bottom, and my daughter inspired the rest of the piece. And this is stitched on 14 count navy blue Aida, and it's all in DMC floss. And you can get, if you get the magazine, you can get all of the details for the pattern. So there's that one. I just framed it in I think this is a 11 by 11 frame, but it fits like an 8 by 8 opening I found it on Amazon. And it came with the mat and everything, so it worked perfectly. So there's that piece. And then my other fully finished item has a little bit of explanation to go along with it. So there's this new group that kind of got together. It's called the Stitchers Collective, and it started out as a group of like 10 to 12 designer friends who wanted to get together, and if we had questions about like, ooh, how do I do print charts, or can you guys take a look at this design, what do you think about it, does this look like it's supposed to look, or do these colors work? It just kind of started out as that, and then it quickly grew, and I think now there are over 80 designers as part of this group called the Stitchers Collective. And we're just kind of, we get together we do collaborations, just kind of talking to each other, just kind of, our whole goal is community and collaboration over competition. And I just think that's amazing. And being a part of this group, I have met so many amazing, talented designers in this group. Like I have imposter syndrome big time being a part of this group, because there's so many talented people in the group. It's just, and I've discovered so many new and amazing designers, and I'll talk a little bit about some of them later, but there's a lot of new starts coming in my future, just to tell you. Just to forewarn you, I have a lot of new starts to show you today. But it's amazing thing. I will put their Instagram down below, and if I were you, I would definitely follow them on Instagram. There is a lot of amazing things coming. Like I've seen some sneak peeks of some of the collaborations and stuff that are going on in this group, and yeah, you guys, you don't want to miss out. You don't want to miss out. Follow them on Instagram so you can be up and can see what's coming out and what's going to be released. And speaking of releasing, my next fully finished object is part of the Earth Day collaboration done by the Stitchers Collective. And this one will be released on April 15th. And basically what you will do is I will link the website below. You want to go down. It has all the information of how to do it, what to do, what charities there are, and I'll explain it a little bit more now. But basically, there are over 31 designers that have participated and that have submitted a design, a pattern. And if you donate $10, or you can donate more, it's up to you, it's whatever you can do. If you donate $10 to one of the 4 designated charities, and they're listed on the website, I will link down below, and you submit your receipt, and all this information of how to do this and is on the website that I will link. You submit your receipt as proof that you've donated, you will get access to over 31 patterns. And then there's also on the website, there's pictures of the patterns of there, and there's so many amazing ones. Like at this point, I feel overwhelmed. I'm like, I don't know which one to start first. I don't know. They're so amazing. But so here's my contribution to this Earth Day collaboration. And mine is called Mother Earth, Respect and Protect. And so for mine, the first thing I did is I found my color palette, and I kind of wanted to go for like kind of the 70s kind of earthy kind of earth tone colors. And then I put kind of a pop of teal, kind of a bluish teal. It's kind of maybe more on a blue side than teal, but I wanted a little pop of like blue in there with the kind of the yellows and the oranges and the green. And then there's some kind of like mauve-y colors in there too. And then the words are very like dark navy blue. They look black on here, but they're dark navy blue. And then so my text is modeled off of like some text off of posters from like the 70s. I use those for my inspiration. And I finished mine into a pillow and I put on the pom-pom trim to give it kind of more of that 70s feel. And so this is mine, Mother Earth, Respect and Protect. It's my design. So if you donate $10 or more, you will have access to this design and 30 other ones that are amazing. Like I said, I'll link that website down below to go to, and it explains everything on the website. And one thing to note too about this is the collaborators for this project are humans and they have day jobs. And so when you submit your proof of donation, they may not get back to you with access to the patterns right away because they do have day jobs. So on the weekends, they might be able to get back to you a little bit sooner, but on weekdays, if you have to wait till the evening, I'm sorry. They're working so hard on this. They're just humans, and you might have to wait a little bit. So if you don't receive the link for your patterns right away, don't worry. Don't worry. Don't panic. Don't worry. It will come. It's just they have to kind of keep up with it, and not knowing how many people respond to this and not knowing how many people will donate, they might be a little overwhelmed at times. Well, I'm hoping they'll be a little overwhelmed at times because it would be nice to raise a lot of money for a really good cause. Or really good causes. And the 4 causes that were chosen, they chose them because they wanted them to be, some of the designers are from the UK, other countries, not just the US, from Canada. They're from all around the world. So we wanted the charities to have a global impact and plus the people purchasing and donating will be from all around, hopefully from all around the world. So we just wanted to make sure the charities had a global range and a global impact. So that's something that's super exciting, and just check it out tomorrow. Like, I'm filming this on April 14th, so tomorrow's April 15th, and I have to say that this being able to donate and being able to have access to the patterns, it will only be open for a month till May 15th. So you have from April 15th to May 15th to get your hands on these patterns. I'm sure the designers may release them after, but you'll have to wait, and then you'll have to buy them all each individually. And trust me when I say there are some amazing patterns in here. I don't even know which one I want to start first, but I'm going to start them first. And if you're going to stitch one of these patterns and you're going to participate in this, there is a hashtag for it. It's hashtag Earth Day Sal, and I will put that down below too, so you know what the hashtag is. So if you participate, if you're stitching the patterns, use that hashtag. We want to see what you're doing. We want to see your work. It's just something so exciting, and there's more to come from this group. So make sure you follow on Instagram. So those are my 2 fully finished pieces. I have a finish. This one's not fully finished yet. And this one is It is called Among Friends, and this was a freebie put out by Mod Cross. And this one you can, I will link, Sarah from Mod Cross has a YouTube channel. I will link her YouTube channel down below. I think it is her, I'm going to say second or third video where she talks about her newsletter, and she has a link of how to sign up for a newsletter. But if you sign up for a newsletter, you get this pattern for free. So I suggest you do that and she just released a really beautiful handsy design. Like, check it. It's something I want to stitch. I will stitch it eventually. I want to get it and stitch it. But it's beautiful. So check out her YouTube channel. Check her out. But here is my finish of Stitchers Are Always Among Friends. And for this one, I used, my fabric is 28 count khaki Lugana. And my floss was, it was a Roxy Floss Company floss cotton candy, and it was discontinued. So they no longer make this floss, or this color, I should say this color. They make the floss, but, or dye, they actually dye floss, but anyways, they don't make this color. It was a discontinued color, but I'm sure they have something similar to it. But this was just a really fun stitch. Because stitchers are always among friends. So there's that one. That was a finish. And now I will go to my new starts. I have a couple, well, maybe a little bit more than a couple. So my first new start is, let me get it out here, and I have to show you the project bag, because it's a new project bag. My mom has been furiously making project bags, and this one's pretty amazing, and it has a little bit of a story behind it. But here is the project bag. I know. This stitching on here was something my grandmother had started stitching. It's actually embroidery. My grandma had started embroidering it. My mom she said that my grandma had like one of the flowers that she didn't do, and it was just left unfinished. And so my mom went in and finished it, and then she put it on the project bag. Isn't that amazing? That's incredible, isn't it? Super cool, because now it's kind of fun because my mom put some stitches in this and my grandmother. And I think that's kind of cool. And then she made it into this beautiful project bag. So in this project bag, and I have to say, this project bag is my project bag for my Marroomy Designs projects. Miriam has her own project bag with her designs that I stitch. Wouldn't it be fun to have like one project bag and it's dedicated to a certain designer, and you just constantly have one of their designs going in that bag? Goals, right? Goals. So I have two new starts from her I'm going to show you. The first one is, I did it for #StitchAsia, which was something that a stitch along they did in March. And it's called Perky Lion. And there's what it will look like. I love his face. And here's my progress. I got a little bit done. You can see this beginning of his head and part of the border. Not as much as I would have liked, but it's been a fun stitch. And you know what? I'm showing you the back. I'm sorry. Well, now you can see what my backs look like. There you go. Sorry. So that is what I have done so far. And this is stitched on, my fabric is from Atomic Ranch Fabrics, and it's called Harvest Breeze, and it is a 28 count Lugana. And it's a big piece because I have plans for the rest of it, and I will show this to you. We'll just start talking about plans a little bit early. Here's another pattern I purchased from Marroomy Designs. I purchased the Fussy Rooster. And that's what it will look like. Rooster with attitude. I love it. And so I have planned that I will stitch Perky Lion, and then below that, on the same fabric, I will stitch Fussy Rooster. And here, the floss I'm using for Perky Lion, I'm using a variegated DMC floss. It's 4/5/22. It's got a nice, beautiful variegation to it. Hopefully you can see that. I started out filming and it was so nice and sunny today, and the minute I get my phone out to film, it clouds up. So hopefully my colors are coming across. And then so I will stitch Fussy Rooster. It's DMC 4130 in this. And I think that would look really cool on this fabric. I think that'll look fun. So that kind of jumpstarts like purchases and plans. Or just remember that when we get to purchases and plans later, that's something I purchased in future plans. I told myself that I have to finish Perky Lion before I can start Fussy Rooster. I think that's fair. And then another start I had from Marroomy Designs was there was a stitch along that started on the first day of spring, and it was called Song of Nowruz. So for the first, it's kind of a celebration of spring and renewal. And so this one, actually, let me show you. I'm jumping ahead of myself here. Let me show you what the design will look like. Here's what the design will look like. Again, it's Song of Nowruz. And you can find all her patterns on her Gumroad page. She has a Gumroad page. She has all her patterns on there. So there's that one. And here is my start on it. This one I'm hoping I'll finish in the next couple weeks. Because really, I don't have that much more to go. And I'm trying to decide if I want to do the border around it or if I just want to leave it in the middle with the birds. I'll have to decide. And for this one, I am using, my floss is DMC 4508. Another nice, I had fun. I wanted to try some of the DMC variegated floss. And so I bought a few. Sorry, that's a bit wobbly. And then my fabric is 32 count Azure Blue Lugana by Zweigart. So it's kind of this nice dark, not too dark, but a darker blue. And I love how the floss is, the variegation of the floss. It's kind of pretty spring colors. So those were 2 new starts I had, and I have a few more new starts to show you. See, it's kind of like April came, or we're in April now, but March came along and all my plans kind of went out the window and I started a whole bunch of new things. I didn't even get to my WIPCO for March, so I don't have anything to show you there. Sorry. And I don't know if I'll get to my WIPCO for April because there's a lot of fun things happening right now, and whew, I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed, but there's so many like, oh, I want to do this and I want to do that and I want to start this and I want to do that, and oh, there's this, and I still want to make progress on other stuff. It's hard. But I think it's probably a good problem to have, is there's so much good cross-stitch stuff out there and so many good things out there happening in cross-stitch right now that there's just so much, like, I feel like you're going in a million directions because you want to start all the things. So I will show you another new start I had, and this one kind of came about is we had a family trip in very beginning of April, so we're back from that now. But we had a family trip, and I wanted to do something that was monochromatic, something where I could just use one thread. I didn't have to use 2 threads, and I have to worry about, because when you use variegated floss, I like to do like the full crosses, and kind of sometimes that takes a bit more concentration to do that, where if I use like just regular like DMC where it's non-variegated, I'll do like the half crosses across, and then I'll come back and cross my excess, and it makes the stitching go a little bit faster, and for me there's a little less thinking involved. And so I just wanted a project that was be a good travel piece. I had like requirements where I wanted it to be on Aida, I wanted it to be one thread, one strand of thread used on it, and then I wanted it to be monochromatic. So those are my 3 requirements. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna look for a pattern that will kind of fit the bill. And so what I found was, and this, surprisingly enough, this was released at Market this year, so I could say this is my Market purchase for the year, which I didn't know that until after I had like found it and purchased it. I was like, oh, this is a Market release. It's called Exquisite Lace by Works by ABC. Isn't that beautiful? And this one, I was also inspired by Cam the Stitcher, which I will link her floss tube down below. Check it out. She stitches on amazing things, has like amazing colors she uses, and just a variety of things. Check her out. But I was inspired by her. She's doing a piece, I don't remember the name of the piece, but she was doing like a pink on pink, kind of a tone on tone. And so I'm like, I kind of want to do a tone on tone, and my favorite color is purple. So I'm like, I want to do something with purple. And I found this fabric. I'll show you the fabric first. And let me get my little card out so I can tell you what it is. I found this fabric. Let me see. Sorry, I have it written in a different spot. And this fabric is 18 count shale Ada by Picture This Plus, and it's probably, it might look more gray on here, but it's kind of like a purpley, kind of a dirty kind of purpley gray. And it's got this beautiful modeling in it, and it's an 18 count Ada. And so I was like, I want to stitch a darker purple on this. And I was thinking, I want to do one strand. So for 18 count, I thought I would do sulky on it. So I found this gorgeous kind of eggplant purpley sulky color. And there it is. And so here's my start. Obviously with vacation, you have all these plans. You're like, I'm gonna get so much stitching done. I'm gonna get all this, and it never happens. And you bring like 5 projects, but you end up only working on one and getting a little bit done. But here is what I have done. And I am loving how this purple on purple is looking. And it has a bit more contrast than like kind of tone on tone, but I like how it looks. I like how the lace is kind of a darker, moodier look to it. I think that's gonna be super cool. So, and this has been super fun to stitch on too, and super easy vacation stitching. So that is what I have done. Put it a little bit closer so you can see some more of that detail in the lace. And this pattern is cool because it is all completely full crosses. It's a lot of full crosses, but it's all full crosses. I know she has another pattern that's lace and it's really beautiful, but I think that one has some half crosses in it, which there's nothing wrong with half crosses. It's just half a cross stitch, but this one's full crosses. So I think for vacation stitching, it's a little less having to focus on, okay, I gotta do a half cross here, I gotta do a full cross here. It's all full crosses. So it was fun, and I did enjoy stitching on that when we were on vacation. So that was another new start, and then I had one more new start, and then I will go into my plans, which involves some more new starts. Surprise, surprise. Then my next video, I should plan on finishing something. We'll see. I'm a process stitcher. I admit it, I'm a process stitcher. I'm not I think more with my cozy cabin stitching, which is the name of my Etsy shop, and cross stitch designs are under cozy cabin stitching. I'm more of a product stitcher with that. I work on one till it's done. But with my personal stitching, like, let me start all the things and work little by little. And every time I pick something up, even something I haven't worked on maybe a year, I enjoy working on it just as much as I've enjoyed when I started it. It's no matter like where I'm at in the process, like I enjoy it. So, and that's what it's about, right? What you enjoy. So this is my last new start. Although I have a new start I'm gonna do tonight, which I will show you in plans. So my last new start I did, and this one was by a designer I had not known until I joined the Stitchers Collective, and amazing designs. This one is by Clarke Craft, and it's called Elephantine. Sorry, there's a bit of a glare. Isn't that cool? This one was inspired by medieval drawings of elephants, and often in medieval times when they drew elephants, the artist may not have actually seen an elephant. They may be going off of what a written description is of the elephant. And so their interpretations of what that written description of an elephant is often very different and maybe not quite accurate, but very cool. And this one, I love the colors too. So that's what the design looks like, and I will show you my start, which I don't have much of a start, but here's my start. And this one I am stitching on 28 count tea-dyed Lugana that I dyed myself. And it kind of got this nice, I was very happy how it turned out. Got this very pretty modeling in it. And that's the elephant's backside. That's my start. But what I loved about this one too are the colors are just beautiful. Beautiful colors. I love the kind of tealy greens and the oranges. And I decided to do it on this kind of fabric, so it kind of looks like maybe old parchment from like a medieval manuscript. So I think that'll be super cool. Just need to make some more progress on that. And that's why you should check out the Stitchers Collective, because you will be introduced to a lot of amazing designers. So that was my last new start. So now we are on to stash acquisitions and plans. So for stash acquisitions, there's a couple more patterns that I purchased, and I will show you what they were. One thing I purchased immediately when it came out was this one. And this is called Let's Make a Statement number 2. And it's by D's 20 Stitches. And it says, trans folks always have been and always will be. And isn't that the truth? Always been around. It's not a new thing. And I was like, I saw that. I was like, oh, I want to stitch that. And so this is something, for me, I want to find like the perfect dark blue fabric on. I don't know if I want to do it. I might end up doing it in Ada. I don't know if I want to, if I'm going to, but I mean, stitching on dark. For me, stitching on dark like linen or Lugana is kind of challenging, but it would look really pretty. So I just want to find the right floss too, because the words for trans folks, that one's a variegated floss, and I don't have that called for floss. So I want to see if I can find something maybe similar variegated, or get that one, or kind of come up with my own DMC kind of variegation. There's that one. So that was a purchase. And then another pattern that I purchased, this one, my husband's not around, so this one I saw and I was like, oh, I want to stitch that for my husband, because our family room, we kind of do kind of like, he's into video games and different TV shows, so we kind of, the pictures on our walls are kind of representative of that. And so I saw this one, and I'm a big Star Wars fan too, but he's a big Star Wars fan, so I'm like, oh, that'd be a cool one to stitch and put in our family room. It says, that's no moon. It's the Death Star. So I saw that and like, that'd be cool. And I was gonna do it by his birthday, but his birthday's in 2 weeks. I haven't started it. It's not gonna happen. Maybe Christmas. Maybe Christmas. I can do it. And he doesn't watch this, so he won't know. It'll be good. Maybe Christmas. So that was another. Those are the patterns. Well, there's one other, but I'll talk about it. And then my mom. Like I said, my mom has been furiously stitching project bags, and so she surprised me the other day with 2 new project bags, and let me show you because they're amazing. This one has a cross stitch piece in it, and this cross stitch piece was done by my grandmother, who's no longer with us. So she was an avid cross stitcher, and she was actually the one that kind of got me into cross stitching in a roundabout way. I inherited her cross stitch supplies, and they had sat in the corner of my house for a long time. I didn't stitch them. I was like, oh, I'm crafty. I might pick it up one day. Who knows? And of course, during the pandemic, 2020, I was like, I need something to do. My anxiety's really high. I just need something to do with my hands. And I picked up her cross stitch supplies, and haven't looked back. I've become obsessed. But this was a piece that she stitched, and my mom put it into a project bag. And the piece, she actually stitched it in 2 separate panels. So my mom didn't cut it apart. It was actually stitched like that. And that's how the pattern is. I have no idea what this pattern is. I have no idea the information of any of this. Like, I don't know. It was just, we found that like she had a pile of like unfully finished cross stitch pieces in her house when they were going through her house. And so this one my mom found and rescued, and so she made it look like a window, which is super cool, which I think probably is what the finishing was supposed to be for, but I don't know. She didn't even have like her patterns or anything, so we don't know, but I think that's just super cool, and this is super special. I gotta find a really special project to put in this bag. So that's that one. And actually my mom put a year, or there was a year on here, it said 1990. And that's when she was doing a lot of her stitching, was late 80s, early 90s. So that's obviously when this pattern probably was from. And then this one is another project bag my mom made. Another cross stitch piece. And this is actually a piece that my mom did. And she did it, the year on it is 1986. So it's older than me. I'll tell you my age a little bit. 1986. And she said she stitched this piece, but she picked her own DMC colors, and she didn't like the colors. They weren't the called for colors that were in the pattern. And so then after she stitched this piece, she found different fabric and redid the patterns. And there's actually a set of 4 seasonal patterns. And like when I was younger, these 4 set of 4 seasonal patterns always hung on the wall in our house. So I'm very familiar, but this is one she didn't like the colors, so she redid it when she did the whole set. So she stitched that in 1986, which is really cool. And like, I don't know the name of the patterns. I don't know. But again, they're from the 80s. I'm sure you can probably find them on like eBay, or you could look and see if you can find the picture, because I feel like I saw that pattern book somewhere recently. Maybe on another Flosstube, somebody found it at a thrift store. But yeah, isn't that cool? And she put pretty rickrack on here and it's falling my face. Very pretty. And oh, the back. I'm going to show you the back. The back, she didn't have a big enough piece that coordinated, so she pieced all of that together for the back with scraps of fabric she had. Isn't that amazing? Super cool, super special project bag. And I'll show you the project, which is what I'm going to start tonight in here. So Lola Crow is doing a new sal. It's called the Greenhouse of Oddities. And I watched her do, last year they did a sal, I don't remember, it was Haunted Library, I think it was called the Haunted Library, and watching all other Flosstubers stitch on it and watching their finished work and pieces, and I didn't participate in it, and it was just like, oh, that's beautiful, it's amazing. I know if you watch Canvas Stitcher, her finish of the Haunted Library sits right behind her when she does her Flosstubes, so you can see her finish and her Flosstubes, and it's beautiful. And every time I watch her Flosstube, I look at it, I'm like, oh, I gotta stitch that. I gotta stitch that sometime. So Lola Crow came out with a new sal, and this one's called the Greenhouse of Oddities. And the minute she came out, like, announced that she was gonna do the sal, I was like, oh, I can't miss out on this one. I have to do it. I have to do it. And so, and first, the frame for the sal was actually released today, and I saw it, and it's amazing. It's amazing. So if you were on the fence about doing this sal, or was thinking like maybe I'll do it, or if you've never done a sal before, do this one. Do this one because it is amazing. Like, looking at the pattern, looking at the frame and everything, she has like little notes. There's a few not creatures, but animals in the frame, and there's gonna be like plants in the greenhouse and more animals in the greenhouse from what she describes in the little sneak peek she's put out. But she has like little descriptions of what each one is and kind of some information about, and they're actual like real things that are around in our environment or our world. But I think that's just, to include that, it's kind of like you learn about it too as you're stitching it. I think that's cool. And I'm excited to do that when she starts doing like the greenhouse section where the plants are, learning about each different plant. And I think it's going to be a really fun sal. So if you were thinking about it, you should do it. But I will show you. Okay, let me show you my fabric for it. So here is my fabric. And like I said, I'm starting this tonight because the frame came out today. So and this one I say it all the time, like, I really want to keep up with this one. We have 6 weeks to stitch the frame, and then she comes out with the first section. And then I think each week after, or it's each week or every other week, she comes out with another section to do. So it's like little chunks, and you have 6 weeks to do the whole entire frame. And once you get the whole entire frame done, then you're basically filling in like small sections on the inside. So I think I say this now, but watch my next post. I think it's very doable. So my fabric for this, I found, it's Fiber on the Whim. It's an 18 count Aida, and it's wheat by Fiber on the Whim. And here's what it looks like. So I decided to do mine on Aida too, because I figured that'll help me I stitch faster on Aida. So that'll help me kind of hopefully keep up with the sal. But it's got this beautiful variegation to it. And hopefully that color is coming across. And then here are the floss colors, and oh, look at those beautiful colors on my fabric. So I am super, super excited to start this one. And hopefully I will have the frame done by my next Flosstube. Fingers crossed. Hopefully. That'll be my focus for a while, plus some stitching for my design stitching. I always have something going there, so, and I can always show it to you. But that'll be hopefully my focus for a while. And then I'll get back to some of the other new starts I showed you and make some more progress. But so that one, I'm super excited to start that one tonight. And there's not really a picture or anything I can show you of it. It's like it was just released today, and it's a mystery stitch along, so you don't know what it's gonna look like to the end, but it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. So I'm really excited about that. Let me see. I think that was all my, oh, one more stash acquisition that I wanted to show you. This is something that I thought was really cool. I found it at Dollar Tree, and this is part of their spring collection, so they may not have these out anymore, but I'm really hoping they will kind of put these out seasonally. They are trim packs, and it comes with a yard each of 3 different trims. There's like rickrack. This one I think it says Easter, and then like pom-pom trim. So there's this one, and then there's this one. It has like little carrots, pom-pom, and some rickrack. And then I also found they had this yellow one, which is, this is what I used to trim my Mother Earth pillow. And I thought it was cool. I feel like Dollar Tree is kind of carrying kind of some more crafty things now. And so finding that, and Dollar Tree's technically not $1 anymore. It's like $1.25 in the US now. But still $1.25, and you get 3 different trims. A yard is enough to do like a small pillow. I think that's pretty cool. I'm always looking for like finishing ideas, finishing pieces. Whenever I find something that's like that, I like to pick it up, and I just wanted to let you know about that. Keep your eyes open at Dollar Tree, because they got some cool trims. And they also have some like other cool like unfinished wood objects that you could like paint and put your projects on. I know that was a lot. So now I'm going to go to my Flosstube shoutouts. So for Flosstubes, I feel like I haven't, there's tons of Flosstubes I've been wanting to watch, but the last month has been kind of hectic and busy with vacation. My kids are sick, but the Flosstubes I have been watching, and some newer Flosstubes, is one I've been watching is Julie and Stitches. Her Flosstube is, her personality is really great. She's fun to watch, very entertaining, and she works on a variety of projects, variety of counts. She does some tiny stitching too, which is really cool, and she's just very entertaining, very fun to watch. So I go check her out. I'll link all of these below. And then another one is, I mentioned I was doing her pattern earlier, the Elephantine, the Ross Clarke Crafts. Go check out their Flosstube. It's super cool, fun to see what they're stitching on. Like, I think it's fun to watch different Flosstubes. You get so much inspiration for what other people are doing, and seeing how maybe they're changing up colors on a piece, different finishes they did. Like Ross Clarke Craft, their Flosstube, they just did a finish of a rabbit. That was really cool, so check it out. And then World on String by Dara is another Flosstube that I've been watching. She's a designer. She's really, really cute. She has a sale coming up. Fire Nice, check it out. She talks about it a little bit on her Flosstube, and her designs are just super cute. She's got like this really cute like teapot design collection she has that she's starting to release. I think she's got 2 released so far, and like both my husband and I like to drink, I like coffee, but I like tea as well, and he drinks a lot of tea, and so I'm like, wouldn't it be cute if I stitched those and put them up? See all these stitches and put them up in our kitchen. See all these plans and all these new starts I want to do. I've been so inspired watching others of what I want to stitch. And then one more is Stitchy Wren. They have another amazing Flosstube. They stitch on a lot of cool like Snow White pieces, and a lot of like different kind of pop culture pieces, which is fun to see. And I think they recently started doing Twitch and like live YouTube streams too, so check them out. Very fun to watch and see all the different things that they're stitching on. So I will link all of those below. Sorry, I kind of stumbled through that a little bit. There's just so much, I feel like there's so much happening right now. My brain's like a million miles a minute, like, oh, there's this cool thing, this cool thing, and this cool thing. And so that is, I'm done talking about cross stitching right now. I'm going to talk about a couple of my other hobbies. I never mentioned about the quilts behind me, so I'll talk about a little bit about that too. So if you were just here for the cross stitching, that's my cross stitching goodies that I talked about. Now I'm just going to talk about a few other hobbies of mine, and then we'll see ya. So first I'll talk about the quilt behind me. This quilt behind me is something that I quilted probably like 15 years ago. It's been a while. What's cool about this one, it was a mystery quilt. And so how mystery quilts work is you basically like you're given clues. So the first clue you're given, it's like you are given so many yards of fabric. So many yards of like a dark fabric, a medium fabric and like a light fabric. So you're given so many yards of each fabric, and that's the first clue. So you have no idea what the quilt's gonna look like when you first start. Like you're just given, okay, here's how much fabric you need. And so as each step goes on, you get the next clue, which might be to stitch like maybe like these blocks together. And so you don't know until the end, until you're actually putting your blocks together, what the whole quilt will look like. And this is something my local quilt shop used to do. They don't do it anymore, unfortunately. It was always fun. They used to do it every year. It was always a mystery quilt, and it was always a twin size quilt. So you get like a huge twin size quilt done every year if you participated. And it was very manageable the way they like staggered their clues. It was like, I think they used to do it like during the summer. It was like every 2 weeks they'd have a clue. And so you had 2 weeks of time to finish up that step and then do the next step. And so I have, maybe in my future floss tubes, I'll hang up more of these. I think I have like 6 or 7 mystery quilts that I had done in the past that are kind of like this. And this is Joe Morton fabric on here. And Joe Morton actually lives in Nebraska too, which I think is super cool. And she has kind of a lot of reproduction style fabric. I just thought it was cool. She lives locally, not too far away. But so I use a lot of her fabric. I keep like pointing at me. That's one thing about floss tube, like where do I point? But hopefully in future floss tubes, maybe I'll display some other quilts that I've done. I haven't done a lot of quilting recently, done a lot of cross stitching recently. It's just hard with 2 young kids, because like when I quilt, like I want to do that whole step of that quilt pattern at one time, which sometimes takes maybe a half hour, maybe a few hours. I don't always have like that chunk of time to sit down at my sewing machine and focus on that without being interrupted, and I just don't have the concentration for that. But hopefully once my kids get older, I can get back into quilting more, because I do enjoy it. I do have a lot of quilt projects sitting around that need to get worked on and finished. I have a huge fabric stash that needs to get used, and there's some amazing fabrics in there, and there's some new fabric designers I've recently discovered, like Tula Pink, that I want to make a Tula Pink quilt, and I don't have that. And one day we'll get there. There's always, it's hard when you have multiple hobbies, or even if it's hard when you have one hobby and there's like, you want to do so many things and there's only so much time in the day. So I will go to another hobby that I do, and I am like beginner when it comes, this is crochet. I also knit, but I've knitted for probably over 20 years now, but I still consider myself a beginner knitter, because I know how to knit, I know how to purl, and I know basic increasing and decreasing, and that's like all I know. I've never made sweaters. I have made a pair of socks, but and when it comes to crochet too, I feel like I'm just a beginner. Like I can do single crochet, I can do double crochet, but much beyond that, like I'm not, especially with crochet, I'm not the best with my tension. Like I'm still very much a beginner in learning. So when my daughter was sick, I wanted to cheer her up, and she requested that I stitch a little blanket for her kitty. She has like this little kitty. She loves cats. And so I'm like, okay, I'll get out some yarn and see what I can do. And so I crocheted her a little granny square blanket out of some just like little leftover yarn I had. I think it's like Lion Brand. It's not even. So I stitched out for her. And once I stitched this, I was like, ooh, that was fun. And my kids were sick. So it's like, I think when you have sick kids, it's like, oh, mom, I need this, mom, I need that. And you're like constantly up and down. You don't have like a solid block of time to just sit and do like work on cross stitch or work on counting, or sometimes your lack of sleep counting is hard when they're sick. So I'm like, okay, I want to crochet more. And I had some yarn in stash, and this is I think Simply Soft yarn, Karen Simply Soft, I think that's what it's called. So I had some in stash. I'm like, okay, let me just sit, and if I get a little bit of time, I'll crochet. So I started crocheting this, and you can tell I'm still going around. Obviously I'm going to make it bigger. I have more yarn, but this is where I'm at now. I started crocheting a napkin. And so then my daughter, she saw me doing this. She's like, oh, can you make one for me, Mom? But I don't like these colors. Can I pick out my own colors? And so I don't know if you can see all of that. And so I'm like, okay, you know, Joanne's having a sale. Let's go. You can pick out some yarn, and I'll make you one. And so I sat this one down, put it aside, be like, okay, I'll work on that after I make her one. So we went to Joanne. I had her pick out her yarn, and we got enough skeins to make her a good size afghan. and these are the colors she picked out. This is how far I am, and my goal is to get this done by her birthday. Her birthday is end of May. I think I can do it. I think I can do it. But here's where I'm at. These are the colors she picked out, and hopefully it might be hard to see, you might not be able to tell, but the red and the white are sparkly. And I know sometimes with yarn, sparkly yarn, and this is I'll give you the brand too. Sparkly yarn, this is Big Twist, which is like the Joann kind of generic brand of yarn, and they were having sale, so it was a really good price. But generally, like sparkly yarn or yarn that has like sparkle in it kind of feels kind of rough sometimes. And this, it doesn't feel quite as soft as like just the regular, like the purple is just like regular yarn. It doesn't feel quite as soft as the purple. There's like a little bit of roughness, but honestly, for sparkly yarn, it's not bad. It's not bad. It still has a softness to it. But that's where I'm on that. And I'm not really going by a pattern. I'm just doing like a granny square, and I keep going around and around and around and making it bigger and bigger and bigger. And with the colors on this one, I'm just kind of like, oh, I did three rows in red, so I think I'll switch to the next color. I'm just kind of randomly doing it, and just to kind of make it just kind of scrappy and different. So that's the other hobby I've been working on when I haven't been cross stitching. So that's taken away from a little bit of my stitching time. Like I said, I really want to get this one done for my daughter by her birthday. I still have like a month and a half. I think I can do it. I got this much done in like less than a month, so I think I can do it. We'll see. But that's been super fun and very honestly super meditative, because I can sit and crochet and just kind of look up and not have to look down at it all the time. And with doing the granny square, there's not really a lot of counting involved. I know with my knitting, I get kind of like, I don't want to stop in the middle of a row. And when you're knitting like a huge afghan, like it could take you like 15 to 20 minutes to a half hour to go across a whole row, depending on how you're doing it. And I don't always have time to sit and do that. Or like with crochet, you're like, okay, do a little bit here, okay, put it down, okay, do a little bit here, put it down. So it's kind of easy just to pick up, put it down, and it's amazing how much progress you get on it when you do that. So that is all of my other hobbies I have to talk about in this Flosstube. Hopefully I didn't forget anything. If I did, I will include it in my other Flosstube, or I'll put it down below in the notes. Thank you so much. If you watch this long, I've got kind of rambly. Thank you for watching, and thank you for subscribing, thank you for liking, and thank you for commenting. It's been so fun interacting with everyone doing these Flosstubes, and I'm sorry it was so long since my last one. Hopefully, don't quote me, hopefully it won't be so long, but there's a lot of stuff coming up, and it's getting towards summertime, and summers get busy. Summers get real busy, so hopefully it won't be that long before you see me again. Thanks for watching. Bye.